If you've had to submit the form I-824 or you got a notice that you'll need to, this video is for you, talking about recent updates and statistics from the Immigration Department's itself, not directly from USCIS, but USCIS Ombudsman's Office, which is a group intended to help people who have had or are having issues with the Immigration Department for their cases. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi, who help families get green cards, especially through consular processing. And unfortunately, many people who do the case themselves with Form I-130 petition to start the process mistakenly fill out the boxes incorrectly and have to deal with this horrible, horrible form I-824 and the consequences, which is not only increased costs and time associated with their case, so potentially retrogression, their case backlog happening, Child Status Protection Act issues, their children aging out, and a lot more problems that are going to cause a heck of a lot of issues for them, their families to be separation, some to be separated permanently because of this issue. So let's jump into it first about some key terms. What is the I-824? The intent of the I-824 form is to have a case that was approved by USCIS I-130 family petition, as well as other types of things. We're focused here on a majority of these cases, which is the I-824, to have it sent from the U.S. to the National Visa Center, the embassy processing system. If you're doing an I-130 case, and frankly I-140 as well, we'll focus on the I-130 petition. There'll be a question, I think it's on bottom of page 8 or something like that, bottom left, and also remain next top of page 9. I'm sorry, top of page 8. This is for paper-based. They have it in the online form, which people are doing now more and more, but this is how it'll look. Essentially, on the bottom left, there'll be a question that says, the beneficiary is a person getting a green card in the United States and will apply for adjustment of status. That's the green card process if you're in the United States to become a lawful permanent resident with USCIS, and you list their city and town, and that allows them to know which local field office for USCIS, the Immigration Department in the U.S., will do it. Then there's a second question that says the beneficiary, the person who's going to get a green card, will not apply for adjustment of status in the U.S., but will apply at an immigrant visa for an immigrant visa at the embassy or consulate abroad. This is for people who are outside. Now, the error people are making is that they're filling out either both boxes, they're leaving both empty, or worse, they're marking that the beneficiary is in the United States and not outside. And what happens is if you do these kind of errors, the Immigration Department will just hold on to the case with USCIS and say, fill out this form I-24, spend hundreds of dollars, and wait, I don't know, 4 months, a year and a half for the case to be transferred to National Visa Center. So that's the big disaster. It's a shock to families who are already dealing with extended delays in getting their I-130 petition approved, extended delays in getting their embassy appointment, and then add to that a year and a half potentially of wait. As you can see, it's just destructive to people's lives. And we have probably the most amount of videos on YouTube on this I-824 form, this particular issue. I did them because I want people to be aware of it before they file the I-130, but obviously not everyone's going to know all the nuances as to what to search for. So inevitably, we get a lot of views of those videos after the fact when the problem happens, and constantly dozens, not hundreds of people have contacted us. Every day they contact us because they have this issue with regards to this form, and it's a very sad one. I hate to hear it. I wish I would never get one of these calls in the perspective the problem didn't exist. But I'm glad I'm getting to help people at least be able to figure out what to do as fast as possible to try to help resolve it. Now, this is a story of what Immigration Department is saying with regard to these cases. They're saying, Ombudsman's office say, we're aware of this issue. We've contacted USCIS and try to resolve it. Before 2022, the policy of USCIS was that they would just, see this if people mark the boxes incorrectly, again, leaving both in blank, filling out both, putting in the U.S. when they're overseas, they would use their discretion. They'll look to see other parts of the form where you said the beneficiary is living and use their judgment to be able to figure out where it is. Yeah, it's 50-50. If not, most of the time they'll just let the wrong thing happen. But hey, I had a chance of them fixing it. However, in around March 2022, they took away this discretion and changed their approach and said, you know what, we're just gonna do it, hardcore letter of the law, and let people be stuck with it if they fill out these boxes incorrectly without having that kind of discretion. And so when we look at the charts that the USCIS Ombudsman provides for this, we saw when this happened in March 2020, a massive uptick in the number of cases filed for I-824. USCIS says we don't have statistics specifically to say the reason for this spike was due to the fact of this change in policy, whereas they were getting, I don't know, around 3,000 average every quarter, every 3 months. They were getting 3,000 of these I-824 forms. All of a sudden, it went to 10,000 a quarter, which is just insane. So what their numbers all of a sudden happen is you see this next chart right here. It went from 10,000 pending cases in 2022 to over 35 to 40,000 of these cases pending. Now, an asterisk right here, there are a lot of employment-based green cards that were approved for people that are in the United States doing adjustment of status. For example, they were on an H-1B and they got an EB-2 or EB-3 green card. Their family members are overseas, so they have to file this I-824 form for them to come. Some numbers will be part of that, but I just can't see that number being that big to affect this kind of jump. And based on just the number of people contacting us, we saw how bigger and bigger it's gotten, that this issue is popping up and people are reaching out. So this disaster is really hitting people hard. It's hitting the agency as hard as well because of the number of cases now they have to adjudicate that were not required before. So that's the sad state of affairs that I wanted to share with you, that the government's going through and they're aware of it. The USCIS Ombudsman's given information and recommendations on how to fix that. We're not going to go through that today, but I want to let people know who are going through this process that this issue is still there and it's a big problem, and they're trying to deal with it with the updated policy that happened in I think it's May of 2024, 6 months or so ago before the recording of this video, where they said, you know what, we're going to go back to the old system of discretion so that the officers could on their own realize if there was an error to fix it. We'll see how that actually plays out in practice. But one note that we read, that I read from this USCIS Ombudsman's report, is that apparently the update in May had a certain procedure that they installed to try to fix this. So if you have an I-130 case pending and you realize you made this error, there's a way to fix it. And the USCIS apparently was supposed to put educational material for people to know this, but even I, dealing with this every day, didn't know this. Now, I just, as a practical matter, would do what they're saying here because I just thought that would be it, but they didn't let them know. And so they're saying petitioners, these are people submitting the I-130 petition, that became aware of the processing change and need to clarify the responses for a pending petition were instructed. So they're told to call the USCIS contact center. So if you have this issue, call them. So that's the number one problem that happens right there. Most people who do not have a lawyer do not know how to call them. Not in the sense that they can't dial 1-800 blah, 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 USCIS. Once you call them, you're going to be hit with a answering machine, a robot that you have to say magic words to be able to bypass it. If you don't, they're just going to hang up on you. And most people give up right there, or they're frustrated. They think they can't get a hold of USCIS because the call center, contact center doesn't work. So they say the contact center would then advise petitioners to submit an e-request. So it's like, why do I have to call them to do an e-request? Why not make it more streamlined on the page to let them know? But then it says, after completing this two-step process, petitioners would not receive timely confirmation that the requested changes were made. So you do this as a shot in the dark. Maybe they got it, maybe they didn't. Often leading to multiple inquiries. Ultimately, they would not find out if USCIS revised their selection until after receiving the Form I-130 approval notice, which indicates where the approved petition had been routed. Did they keep it in the United States with USCIS for adjustment of status, or did they send it out to the consular processing, to NBC for consular processing? As you can tell, I get kind of like worked up about this. I've seen how many hundreds and hundreds of people have contacted our office or dealing with this issue with being separated from their kids, from their spouses. It is a horrible thing. High cost, high weight, frustration, relationships falling apart. So I want to share information with you of the current state of affairs with USCIS regarding I-824 forms. Obviously, I have other videos and people have videos telling you how to do the form, this and that. But I just want to give you an update on what in December 2024 and the release of this report that the USCIS Ombudsman in December 18, 2024, that's the date they have that this was sent out. They had already contacted USCIS to try to fix this. One of the most ridiculous parts of the U.S. immigration system. Unbelievable that this is even an issue. They didn't pre-think about this. It's so simple to fix. They willy-nilly update their forms with no changes. They just keep updating it for no reason and create a lot of paperwork issues for immigration lawyers that are doing cases and for people doing their own. But they can't fix this one to make it more easily understandable, especially in the online system. It's beyond me that is not happening. But if you're handling this case as pending, you're wondering what's going on, that is the latest update. I'll try to put a link to this report in the description section. But if you want to schedule a private consultation for you and your family, please go to our website, jqqlaw.com/contact. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. Thank you for watching this. And please check out our other videos about the I-824 process. And particularly, have a heads up. Get prepared. Start consular processing preparation now. Address history, any records you need, birth certificates, marriage certificates, which you probably have in the I-130, but you may need other ones or police certificates and the like. Study what needs to be done now, so as soon as the case does get to the NBC, you have a running start. You don't add to the delays that are there. That's what we're here for. We schedule a consultation. We get started. We have everything prepped. as fast as possible. The affidavit support, tax returns, make sure all the money situations are squared away so that you have a running start at the MBC stage to avoid delays there. Control what you can control at this point. The government's going to be slow. There's only so much we can do about that, but you could be fast and do things properly. Again, I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. Thank you for listening to this educational video. I hope you and your family have a great 2025 and have a speedy immigrant visa issued.